31, your 3 most important procedures. Now, I've conducted classroom management workshops with over 2,000 teachers in 43 states and 1 American territory. And this comes from what they have told me, okay? Here are teachers' voices speaking. 3 most important procedures: your opening routine, your closing routine, and if you do any kind of small group work, your zero noise signal. Opening routine, closing routine, zero noise signal. These are 3 crucial procedures to teach at the beginning of the year and be consistent in the way that you do. Word about a zero noise signal. I've seen a lot of really cute ones. Elementary classes especially, I see, you know, the clap pattern, and the kid's supposed to clap back. Do you know what I found? The kid can clap back and the mouth keeps going the whole time. So I find that zero noise signals that require the mouth to do something other than what they were doing before seems to work well. I'll share with you one that I used this summer. I was doing some staff development with the teachers. They would get in their groups. Do you know teachers like to talk? They get talking, it's hard to get them to shut up. And my cue would be, I would say, by the numbers, 1, 2. And by the numbers was to say we're going to count to 3. And the first one would be very loud. Some people would hear me. Somebody would hear me, and they would join me in the loud 1. And then others who heard that would join in the normal voice 2. And then everybody would whisper. Let's try it. Would you take just a moment and begin conversing with the people at your table about something Oh, you're not nearly rowdy enough. Come on, come on.
We're not loud. How are teachers not loud enough?
By the numbers, 1, 2. So there's one if you want to try it. I've tried it right here. 32. When 2 people agree on everything, by the way, this is our family motto. It is in calligraphy, it is framed in our family room. When 2 people agree on everything, one of them is unnecessary. So, if you and a colleague have a different perspective on something, that's okay. Remember, we can disagree without being disagreeable. And this is something that's very important to teach our students. How to disagree without being disagreeable. Harrisism 33, when you get butterflies in your stomach, make them fly in formation. If you have to present or do something, or parents coming in, you're a little nervous, take that nervous energy, focus it, and make it work for you. I've given you 34. The mark of a great teacher is that your students exceed you. And I tell them that. I tell them to go and make them great. My legacy out there. I didn't want to give up my 7th grade classroom. I loved it dearly. But I had the opportunity, I felt, to help more teachers if I did. Teachers, the difficult, you know this, the difficult we do it once, the impossible takes us just a little longer. There's another one I heard that says, teachers, having done so much with so little for so long, we're prepared to do practically anything with absolutely nothing. You've discovered this. To my first-year teacher, you will find this. As a teacher, you will be criticized for doing one of 3 things. The right thing, the wrong thing, or no thing. You just pick your thing. It comes with the territory, folks. Choose your thing. of my friends, Linda Gall's parent said to her one time, "Skull, you know, you're not going to be popular with students if you keep getting homework." She had more courage than I did, I guess. She said, "You know, if my #1 goal were to be popular with my students, I'd open a candy store." Smile. 37, I mentioned you never have to apologize for something you didn't say. Sometimes my tongue has been pretty sore, but I've never regretted it. What I have regretted is when I haven't bitten down on it. A word to the wise. Now, if you have a student who is always getting your goat, be careful where you tie your goat. Seriously, you know the kids that know how to push your buttons? They know where those buttons are? Folks, see if you can disconnect those buttons. See if you can disconnect those buttons. Because if they know, as soon as they do that, they're going to get your goat, they'll go there. '39 and 40, we're coming to the end of the presentation today with 2 stories that I always end every class. We make a difference for students, 1 student at a time. How many of you know the starfish story? Okay, about 20%. The way I heard it, a man was walking along the headlands looking down at a beach, and he saw a lone figure below that seemed to be engaged in some sort of a ritualistic dance. The figure would stoop down, step back, go over, stoop down, step back, go over, and he thought, what in the world is that person doing? As he walked further down toward the beach, he began to see that the beach was littered with starfish, all up and down the coastline. And the figure was a young girl, reaching down, grabbing a starfish and throwing it into the ocean. He walked further down to where he could see her and hear her, and he called, "Young woman, what are you doing?" Excuse me. It's telling me I have 10 minutes to finish it. He called out, "Young woman, what are you doing?" And she said, "Oh, sir, it's these starfish. They've all washed ashore. If they don't get back into the ocean, they'll die." And he said, "Just look at all those starfish along the beach. You can't possibly hope to make a difference with your effort." She reached down, grabbed one, threw it in, and said, "I made a difference for that one." One at a time. Now I say to you, you will not reach every student you teach. By the way, if you could, what's the use of the other teachers, right? And you got to leave some for that. Also, you will reach some you have no idea. We're not harvesters, we're seed sowers. We're planting, planting, planting. And very seldom, especially at the secondary level, do we ever get to see what grew out of our seed planting. Once in a while we do. Some years ago, I was over at Dahani Health Center for some physical therapy, messed up my elbows, hauling materials to workshops. And I noticed there was this one person, this one young woman over to the side, one of the therapists, and she kept looking at me rather strangely, and I thought, you know, have I got mustard on my face, or, you know, what's, but she never looked at me. So, a couple of days later, I was back again, and she was there again, and she came up to me and she said, "You used to be a teacher." I said, "Yes." She said, "You were my teacher." Now, folks, in that situation, may I suggest to you that "oh" is the most useful word. "Oh." She said, "Yes. My mother and I have been looking for you for years." "Oh." She said, "Yes, we've been wanting to find you and thank you and find Ms. Von Cannon and thank her." And this child goes on and on about how it was the first year of integration and how scared she was and how wonderful our classes were and on and on. And I'm looking at this young woman and I'm thinking, honey, who in the world are you? She's one of the 2,000 that I taught. Folks, you've got some you don't even remember, but you have made an impact on their lives. One student at a time. And I close with the goat herd story. Remember too. I'll show the rest of that in a moment. And I will say I'm about to give some advice that you don't hear. As a teacher, you do not hear this advice. As a teacher, actually, I don't know, Kim, you think I could have gotten in trouble at Peabody for giving this advice? Probably. I probably could have. But I've been there and done that. The story. The story is told of a little Norwegian goat herd who, through some beneficent thing that he did, was rewarded with a magic round of cheese. Now, the magic of the cheese was that you could cut slices of it and nourish yourself, family, little dog. He could take it out on the meadow and share with his other goat herd friends, and as long as he saved one wedge of the cheese, took it home, wrapped it up in the napkin, put it up in the cupboard, the next morning, opened the cupboard, opened the napkin, a beautiful whole round of cheese to nourish himself, his family, his little dog, take out and share with his friends on the meadow. This went on day after day and week after week until one day, sharing with his friends out in the meadow, he looked down and there was nothing left but crumbs. He had forgotten to save a wedge. He'd shared so much of his cheese, just little crumbs. He wrapped the crumbs up in the napkin, took them home, put them in the cupboard. The next morning, opened the cupboard door, crumbs. He tried again. Never again was there the wonderful magic round of cheese to nourish himself, his family, his little dog, and his fellow goat herds. Now, folks, you are the cheese. Every day you take slices of yourself. You share with your family, you share with your students. You give so much of yourself away. But I caution you to remember to save some cheese. Some people will tell you, give it your all. I will say, don't you dare. Save something of yourself to bring home every day so that it can refresh and be nourished and turn into another beautiful round of cheese to go and share the next day. And when we do that, we're able to keep giving and nourishing and shaping lives and influencing minds for years and years. And our legacy lives on in the students whom we teach. I thank you for this time today. I have about 4 minutes of time remaining. I would ask, what are you wondering? Is there anything you're wondering that I might address in the remaining 4 minutes?
How do you do that? Save your cheese. How do you do it?
One of the ways you do it is, and my technique that I use is a Franklin planner, and I plan out my week, and there are times in there where I literally mark out an hour for my time, an hour for, during this time I am going to, you know those things we always want to read, we can't get around to reading? I'll make an appointment with myself to read, like even if it's my English journal, I'll make an appointment with myself to read my English journal for 1 hour. I lay out my week, and I will put in the things, the big rocks that have to be done, that must be done, and then I will look at where my priorities are, because folks, something has to get left out. As long as it's left out by decision and not by default, we go home feeling good about ourselves. Even in my lesson plans, I have things that I plan to do, and you know, I always plan for more, but I prioritize, so I make sure the important stuff gets done. But the way that I do it is to consciously make an effort to block out time. And then I have little timers literally set around my house, especially because I'll get in the zone of doing something and I'll sit there for 2 hours on something that I really didn't mean to give that much time to. Part of it is giving myself permission that I don't have to do everything, and I'm going to choose what I am going to do, and I'm going to do that well. My husband says, and I think about this, anything that's not worth doing is not worth doing well. And I try not to polish the brass on the Titanic, which I'm prone to do, but that is one of the ways. Kim, I've taught you on some of this. What would you reflect on that anyway, or how you do it?
I do the same thing, and as I said, my kids know what a Harris system is, to the point that if a student comes up to me and says, you know, I need to get this done, I'll tell them the blocks of time, and they'll be like, because you need to save your cheese. I'll be like, yep, I gotta save my cheese, I'm going to a movie. So they even know what that means in my classroom, that Ms. Coyle just needs some time for herself.
And you have to have that for your own mental health. And it's only when we have good mental health that we can do the best for our kids. So it's not being selfish. It's not taking away from your kids when you carve out some time for yourself. It's making you a more resilient person so you can get in there and do what needs to be done. Any other wonderings? Then I thank you very much, and I must say my reputation stands. Nobody fell asleep.